Hi, thank you for attending this workshop. This is the Build Anything with Everything July 19th workshop, and my name is Elliot, and I work on everything. The agenda today is we're going to do a little bit of introduction and history of everything. We're going to answer some important questions. What is everything? Why is everything important? We're going to deep dive into the core concepts of it all. We're going to do a walkthrough and tour, and then we're going to also talk about the future of everything and leave some time for questions and answers. Just so you guys know, everything is a work in progress, so please ask any questions during any of it. This is all going to undergo major overhauls and such, but what's most important are the core concepts that have been explored over the past few months and what we've learned from them. Okay, and then also our goals are to gain a multi-dimensional understanding of BOS, create a type and a thing, and we also want to learn how you can work on everything too. So to start, we live in an unorganized and disjointed world. That is the motivation behind everything. We have lack of control over our data. Data isn't interoperable across applications, and quality data is not always accessible. This leads to a lot of inefficiencies in how we handle our day-to-day processes. And everything has kind of started as a way to try and solve those inefficiencies. And it started a little bit over a year ago with this idea to revolutionize the secondhand product market, which is probably one of the most undervalued, unorganized markets in the whole world. And it was this idea that if you could create an inventory of everything, a data source capable of referencing any real tangible asset, and then those things could be stored in this data source. They could be interoperable across applications. So you could maybe upload all the clothes in your closet, and then every time that you took a social media picture, you could tag your clothes in that. You could use them in an outfit picker app. You could create your own secondhand marketplace. You could do all these type of things, which is if we could just have all this data within its own type of ecosystem of applications, tools, marketplaces, and such. So that started a little bit over a year ago, and now it's kind of come to today, where you had to solve the problem of how do you describe this data so it can be used across ecosystems. So BOS came onto the scene, and everything evolved into a type system that leverages the powers of BOS to introduce a new paradigm in web development. So just an overview, everything has a few core concepts, starting with things, and they're all related in a way. So things display templates, templates follow types, types describe things. And then there's this concept of plugins, which allow you to interact with all steps. They're specific to types. I'll just leave it there, but they're interesting. We're going to dive right into it later. So why is everything important? Well, there's a lot of reasons why everything is important. But in this instance, BOS has standards, but those standards are currently disjointed and unorganized. So how do we group like things together? If you go on BOS, there's all these different applications. Everybody's working on their own projects. And while it's great and it's fun and all of this, it's kind of hard to all see them connected in one place. Be able to make them reproducible in a way. And then how can we make it interoperable and have schemas that match with other apps? So if you go and explore all of like the big applications that are currently on BOS, we'll see that there's different ways that everybody is storing data. There's different ways that it's storing it to be indexed. There's different ways how it's storing it on the user, the root account, social account. Some also just store it into an external smart contract and don't even deal with the social contract yet. Another thing that everything is important is how can we build a no-code tool? Because currently we can't necessarily build a no-code tool dealing with just the widgets that we have at our disposal. And then how can we solve inefficiencies in BOS and take it to the next level? So we're going to explore all these questions today. But first, we're going to start with our current two-dimensional understanding of BOS, which kind of revolves around this concept of widgets, which are pseudo React code stored on chain. And then that React code is interpreted by the specific VM that you have installed in your gateway. Currently, the process for widgets and composing widgets together is you just fork it, and that can lead to like duplicated code. So for example, Mintbase has a NFT marketplace that they have. And one solution for implementing that marketplace is you would fork it. You would modify the props in the widget, your forked widget itself, and then you would have all this like duplicated market code that has carried over from the original one. This isn't really great because one, I'm making some changes and sure I'm able to do the same thing, but Mintbase has pretty much been cut out of the picture. We don't even know that they like were the original creators of this widget. And we have all this duplicated marketplace code. So if Mintbase ever changes any of this, it won't be reflected over here. And it just makes it kind of difficult. Maybe I have the full customizable ability, but nobody else can really take advantage of that customization either. So the second solution is to embed it, which is better. You can like take that existing widget and then you can put it into your own widget and you can just feed the props into it. And that's great too. It solves a lot of problems. Before Mintbase is still part of the picture, we have our own type of customization. It's although if the NFT marketplace ever changes the way that the props are read and handled, we would have to update it here. And it also is kind of like, it's still a low code solution. You have to understand JavaScript in some way in order to edit the props and do your own like wrapping around it. So there's no code happening here. So now you can introduce this multi-dimensional understanding of BOS, where you make it into a thing. And what a thing is, it's a JSON that is pretty much like hard-coded props in a way that wrap around a widget, and those props from the thing get fed into the widget, and they follow a type. So the properties inside of this thing are predictable and they're understandable. It follows a predefined schema that we can store on chain. And then through this predefined schema, we can also organize other things that match, that do the same thing. We can actually, like, Mintbase is still part of the picture and we can understand the attribution of them all. And Mintbase, if they were to create a type, they could even know how many things are utilizing their type. So it's able to like kind of put it all together to form more complex applications on BOS. So here is a look at what a thing is. A thing has multiple parts. So this whole bit here is the thing, which has its own path and a block height. So this would be the path. It's similar to how widgets are, except we have this new keyword called thing here. Things have a type. And then this is the actual JSON of the thing itself. So this data here follows a type, which we'll explore in the next slide. But because this data can be predictable and it can follow a schema, we can build templates that understand the schema, and you can just swap out the template. The way that you want your data to be viewed, it just can be easily edited. And then there's also this concept of plugins. Plugins are unique to each type. A type can have its own specific plugins, and plugins can be used to manipulate the thing itself. It's manipulate the thing and also like provide new features and more abstractions to it all. Plugins is a little bit more of a thing to explore. We'll talk about it more. So now let's dive into the core concepts. So we just went over things, which this JSON can serve as a mutable generic representation of a widget or multiple widgets. It has a path and a block height, but it really can do so much more. It's just a JSON that's stored on chain. It's a complex object. And with that object, you can really do anything. It's a mutable JSON, which is kind of cool too, meaning that whenever, rather than like before, if we're putting widgets inside of widgets and we're forking them, every single time that we do that, we have to pay a storage cost. And that storage cost can be kind of high because a forked widget is usually a lot of code. But if we're just doing a JSON, it's a lot cheaper. And then also whenever we make changes in the JSON, sometimes we don't even have to store extra storage at all. We can make changes for free. So things are described by types. So types are a JSON that is stored on chain, and it describes the properties and default behavior of a thing. So this is an example of what a type looks like. A type has a name. It's stored underneath an account. It has a list of properties. Those properties have their own like type definitions. So you can kind of imagine types as type definitions in TypeScript. And then we can also do some like things like whether it's single or multiple and stuff like that. You can also set default views, which we can explore later. Yeah, things describe the properties and the default behavior of a thing. So this is how a thing and a type works. So things have their own path and block height. And so we have set up this like widget called every.thing view, which takes in this path and block height of the thing. It acts as the render method for it. So that path will be used to get the data from the social contract. We'll get this JSON back. And in this JSON, we'll see the type that it follows. We'll get more information about the type. So we'll do a social get on the contract to get the type JSON. We'll look at this type JSON. We'll see all the properties that are inside of it. And types can have properties that follow other types. So they're recursive. They can just keep on going and going. Yeah, and then we can use these properties to construct creators, and we can actually put other type of data inside of it that is unique to the type. But yeah, it works recursively. Okay, so another core concept is templates. So a template is a widget whose props follow the type, which I don't have a great picture of it here. But a template can be configured in the thing, and you can swap out templates. Templates are easy to make because we know the schema of the data that is inside a thing. All we have to worry about is just the front end view of what that data would look like. So we can come up with some dummy data, and then we can just like start coding away on our front end template. And then this concept of plugins. So plugins are a type specific widget that can interact with a thing. It is installed by the user and it's stored in settings. So plugins are unique to the user, although this storing in settings has not been yet implemented, but it's totally possible and doable. Okay, so now I'm going to just give like a walkthrough of all this. So this is everything. This is every post. This is every image. This is every task, this is every event, and this is every DAO. And these are all types of data that are stored on a blockchain operating system. As you can see right there, types can have their own plugins. So this is a widget. And so it was able to show a open in Nearpad plugin, where if you click it, it'll open this widget in Nearpad. And then this is a core type. So it has all these other available plugins. So we can look at the actual thing itself. We can edit it. So right now I'm duplicating the thing. I'm actually creating my own everything. So there we go. And then I can switch out the template so I can make it look how I want it to. That looks a lot better. And now I can deploy this thing, which is my personal website, pretty much, for only a couple cents. So things can be built on top of. So one plugin here is the build plugin. And you can specify what type of things can be built on specific types. So I have my own everything, and right now I have an option of creating my own feed. So I'm going to create a feed, which is going to follow the post main index. It's going to have a markdown type. I could designate hashtags, but I'm just going to set the account that I want to follow. I'm just going to show my own personal post, and then it needs a template to be able to view. So now I've just like built a feed, which is just a thing that follows the type feed. One thing to note here, actually, I'll talk about that in a second. So there you go. I just created a feed, and because I'm building on top of this thing, it automatically is built in it, and it can appear. So we can also like create marketplaces, but right now in this in this example, a marketplace type hasn't been created. So I've searched for a widget, which is a thing. It has a path and a block height. So I've searched it. It's rendered here. I can create a type for this marketplace. Create a marketplace type. From looking at the Mint-based widget, I know that it takes in props, contract, and affiliate account. So I just created this type. It will reflect immediately. And then based on the primitives that were described in that type, we can automatically generate a form in order to start creating things of that type. So I'm adding in my contract. I'm adding in my affiliate account. I'm using the widget as my template. And now there you go. I just created my own marketplace. And anybody could duplicate this marketplace and just change the values in the JSON thing, and then they can have their own marketplace too. So types can have their own specific plugins. This is an example of a plugin that is specific to marketplaces. So this is a camera. So I'm taking a picture of something, I'm minting it, and then it shows up on my marketplace. So the cool thing is that it's supposed to make everything composable. So like much more composable than it already is right now. So that you can create types, and then you can actually build specific plugins for those types. You can build specific templates for those types as well. You can build template marketplaces, plugin marketplaces, all this type of stuff. Big libraries. So this is me creating another thing. I'm creating a community page for Welcome Home. Putting in my template. And again, since this data is it's stored in a JSON, you can switch out this template to look however you want. You can add, now you can create a more customizable BOS experience. So there's that thing. So there's this other plugin that's called Edges, where you can like form edges between different things. So I formed an edge between the community and my thing, and now I can like navigate between the two of them. Just another example of a plugin that exists. So we'll just go ahead and go into the future of everything. This concept of JSONs being stored on chain, and it's pretty powerful. It's not really just for templating. We can actually use it for a lot more interesting type of things. So one thing that we've been exploring is that, a JSON is kind of like a package.json in a way. It has a list of dependencies, and you could create a app type that that pretty much creates a package.json, and then using the new improvements into the VM, like VM.require, which pulls in dependencies in a way, we can build apps. I don't know how to explain it. Yeah, we can build apps. But with all that said, everything is a work in progress, and everyone builds everything together. Everything that I've showed you so far has been kind of like the exploration of the past few months, and it honestly needs a full redesign. It needs a full overhaul, and there's so much more that I don't even understand, and I think that more brains on this would really I think there's a lot of potential here, and we could really figure out something really amazing using all the nature of it all. So I'll put these QR codes here, although I think this is pretty early. We can dive into actually creating things and types if we want. So I'll leave time right now for any questions.
I kind of have like a maybe sort of naive question, but something that I've been kind of fascinated by, like watching the few demonstrations of boss building and like this app in particular. I think you do this input of the URLs for like the widgets, or maybe not the URLs, but the locations for those widgets and everything. Like, how is the discoverability for that right now? Like, is there a good place to go and find that and explore? Because
That was actually something I was working on today. So yeah, I know you're talking about this right here.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so something that I was working on today, with James and Monzo, we're working on component libraries. Everybody is welcome to join in on this. Uh, but I made this, so this is like everything that has been created. You can sort by account ID and by tag, every type that's been created, and then it's every widget. And these are just the paths. Exactly, that goes up here. And this was just
Gotcha.
bootstrapped last night. So honestly, looking for suggestions or anything to make this easier.
I think like one thing that would be really powerful, because with a lot of these widgets, especially in this open ecosystem, like it's nice that we can sort by tag, but maybe there would be a lot of use for like a like or an upvote system, or like community added tags, something that people could flag something as, like maybe this is a component that's really useful for a new boss builder. Maybe this is something that's really useful for building a feed, a fundamental component, stuff like that. Just like things that I think, because like this is getting to be really really easy, to the point that even I could probably throw something together, and that's pretty exciting to me. But like, what
It sounds like you gotta work with us on these component libraries.
I really would like to. I mean, honestly, the problem right now is that I got like a million different things going on, but
We
but
all
I'm
do.
I'm I'm really excited about what you're doing, and like I have a lot of fun watching you like throw these things together. So
James, what is the widget all stars that you have? Or maybe,
It's called widgets.rank.
yeah,
widgets.rank.
this is starring widgets.
Cool. All right.
And then the other thing, what is the current component? I know I have this one. So this is like what we're currently working on, component libraries, which I guess this one doesn't have anything in it. But
Might be dev library or
oh,
edu. Yeah.
so here's component libraries so far. And they can be sorted by category. Oops. And these are going to be like curations. So yeah, we can do like curated lists of the most helpful widgets for composing applications.
Yeah, awesome. This is kind of like exactly the sorts of things that I'm interested in. So yeah, hopefully like the UX and the just general experience just keeps getting better. But it seems like it's just like really fast moving right now, which is exciting.
There's so much you can do with all this.
It's getting
Here,
faster and faster. um, for sure. And yeah, I was thinking about that public tagging system for widgets and things, but it's almost better to add things to a list rather than just having tags from anyone. But there is an example of public tags which are different than private tags, because anyone can add them to something like a profile, and then private tags are only added by the owner of that thing.
Gotcha.
that's a pretty cool dynamic too.
Not many people actually tag their own widgets, so it's kind of
That's
like,
kind of the trouble, right?
yeah,
Like it's really it's really a discoverability problem, because like the best thing would be if we didn't have, like, if somebody built like the perfect solution for something, which obviously doesn't exist and never will, but like if there's something that's really really good and fundamental and useful to a lot of people, like ideally they would not have to hunt around for it too much. Like, it should just be there. So the curation, that's probably like the best thing we can do right now. But I don't know, just trying to think about how to make it as like organic as possible. And that's sort of a tricky thing to do.
I have an idea for a campaign to bring awareness to this challenge and help to solve the real, underlying problem. And it has to do with the featured components on the homepage of near.org, because they're not updated on a regular basis, and we don't really have a clear process for how
Who runs that page? Do you know?
I actually think it's just under the root near account. So I honestly don't think it's been updated since near.org was.
Let me click a few rocks and see if we can maybe change that. I don't know like who's responsible for the near.org gateway explicitly, but I'm sure I could find somebody. That shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah, and I mean, it's really an idea to let people curate their own sidebar, and it's kind of like their tool belt, or some kind of utility closet that they have right there, and they can open the door if they need to get to anything they set as like their curation of things or widgets or components. And yeah, we could have like a fun contest or some kind of like activation to get people curating and try to like propose the best featured components for the default. So we can update the default using DAOs actually.
Yeah, that would actually be really cool. It's a good point.
But yeah, sorry to take away from the everything here, but it is part of everything. Everything is.
All I've been doing now is I created a list type. And a list type, what I did, if you guys saw, so I created a type called lists, and I put in, I'm going to have it be a array of paths, which are strings. I'm saving it. I'm setting is multi to true, because I think a list has multiple items in it. And then we're going to put in some data. So I think the first thing in my list is my tree widget. We need a template, so I'm going to create a template really quick. I know that data is going to come in as data from props.data, and that data is going to look like a data.path map. This path equals data.path. Well, so this is my template that I'm creating. So we have path, which is an array, and we're going to have it have one that is widget tree. And now we know that's displaying. We created that one component yesterday, which is docs card, which takes in a path, and it shows something like this. So we could do like where was I again? Oh yeah. Cool. That's our widget. I'm actually going to make a change to the type so that it can take in a different type of template for this. So I'm going to do like item, let's see, thing template. this data thing. This is going to be our default. Cool. So now I'm going to publish this thing, every list view. That's just kind of like the naming convention that I go through, because it's, yeah. So now we'll go back to this thing that we created, efas near widget every list view by. There we go. And now we can, I don't know, what's a good widget?
Get BOS.
Yes, get BOS. There we go. So we can keep on building that. And you know what? I'm going to actually change it. And I'm going to add a, I think I call it a thing template, which is a string. I'm going to modify the type. I'm going to create another docs card. Docs card v2. Like this. But I'm just going to do background color red. Am I done? Oh, I see. There we go. Did I save this? So I'm saving, I'm adding that thing template variable that I described here, thing template. And now I just added it. Now we can do this. And now I can do, what's it called? Docs card v2. I can switch out and make it look a different way. Then we can create this thing. Be like my widget curation. And that's how easy it is to create a type and create a thing. And now anybody could create their own curation using the same exact thing. They could duplicate it, and they could be like, you know what? I don't like the red, so I'm going to keep it like this. I don't like the tree. I just like get boss, so I'm going to do this, and I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to be like my duplicated. Who cares about the? Sorry, I'm kind of going off on a tangent right now, but this is the power of everything.
Yeah. Duplicate dead.
Keep this thing slash. See, now I've just duplicated. I have my own curation too. And then types can have types. So we could create a library type that has lists in it. We're going to use the list type that we just did, or there's going to be multiple of them. And we're going to create library v2. Now we can create lists of lists. Maybe we got another cool
DevHub.
Yeah, what is DevHubs?
I think it's under near DevGov down near, right? And then it's called Ideas, maybe, with a capital I.
Yes, near DevGov. Let's do one more. Who else is on the call? Does anybody have a favorite widget? All right, I'm just gonna do this one because it's the only one I can think of right now. Then we're gonna card v2, bam, bam. Okay, wait, this actually might get really weird. Lists, and then we can have lists, and then we're gonna just do widget of if is near widget. This will work. Something's wrong. So what we can do is we can take this. So we know that list, data list, is an array. So we're going to go through each one, and then that object has a path in it. So it dot path. So this is what it is. What's going on here?
Does it not need to be paths?
Yeah, I kind of messed up the naming. That wasn't probably really helpful. But it is path. So I'm taking in like list, data.list. I'm saying lists because it's an array, which is kind of confusing right now. But we're going to map through each one, each object, and it's going to be it.path. Oh, you're saying, oh no, it should be data. There we go. Damn. I think there's something weird going on right here. Are people enjoying this, or I can switch to something else too?
No, I mean I'm enjoying just kind of watching along. It's
So,
fun to just, be a part of this.
Yeah, this is a pretty impressive real-time workshop that you're putting together.
so there's a problem with this creator that it's hard to like update it. So okay, we're gonna add tree. We're gonna have Git boss. Then we're gonna do our second one, which is dev.gov gigs ideas. And then what was the other one that we did? Oh, I just did eFids browser. And then we wanted this one to be in red. So every box card v2. Bam. I think that's doing something really weird. That doesn't look right to me. Yeah, I don't know why the second one, there's something happening weird with the second one. But that's the gist, is you put types inside of types, and then you can quickly compose applications. So this would be building a library of lists of their own widgets. And We could save this right now. Yeah, for some reason that second path isn't saving.
I might have messed you up. Did you put in a different account ID than dev.gov gigs for the other one? Is that why? Because I said something wrong earlier. That's right, but
No, you see this when I'm clicking add and it's like creating this up here. This is strange. That's not supposed to happen.
oh, okay.
Yeah. Like we can see in the raw that only that first library is being added, the second one isn't. But these are the type of problems that we can solve together.
Let's go. You solved one of them. Got the list going. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Did you want to share anything else? I'm sure you're building some cool things other than what you just on the fly. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I could do some more. People want to stick around and see stuff.
I gave a thumbs up just so we're clear.
Okay, cool. Oops.
Verbal confirmation is appreciated.
Let's do this. Come on, say that. Get it. Check out branch. Feature. I mean, I can show this one. Actually, I won't do that one though. That one's a little spicy. This has been the thing I've been playing with the most recently. Oh, come on. Oh, that's one. All right, we just got a dot. Bam. You can drag around and you can move stuff around. We're building a graphical user interface for the blockchain operating system.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's that's the other most exciting thing I have.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I kind of think that like you could have like an editor open over here, and then you could like have the widget itself, and then you can maybe like zoom out and you can actually see it all.
So the browser thing, takes it to the next level beyond just like app or website.
Right.
It's more like a browser. This is like, oh my gosh, this is my desktop. Whoa.
Yeah, a multi-dimensional understanding of BOS. Yeah, right now it sets it, the path is from this. So I've actually kind of screwed up because like I should be able to do this. I used to be able to do that and then like enter, and then you would click the dot and it would come up with the widget that you described up here. But I've moved it to this Explorer, so now I can't like put anything else after it. That's kind of the idea. I think that it could have like a search, and then you could like enter in the widget that you want or something like that, and then it could pop up. Yeah.
Does this kind of does it make sense to save the positions of things and like turn that into a page? Like, does this mean we can do drag and drop page builders, or is it just for kind of exploring and you can move stuff around?
I haven't really thought about that, but you know what you could probably do? So this is happening on the gateway, although this could be moved into a widget that's draggable. I don't see why not. It's just that like right now we have like these are two separate, elements that are rendering on the same canvas, and they're sitting in the, like, they're almost like two different iframes. So we would need, in order to do that, a way to communicate between this one to this one, which I bet we probably could do. Yeah.
A question about Canvas. I think we do have Canvas examples, right? But that's a little different. It's like in one iframe, you can put a canvas.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen. The only thing would be if there is a near social bridge. So widgets don't really have access to Canvas. That's not in the VM. But maybe if there was a near social bridge component that somebody made, and then their like React app that gets bridged has access to the canvas.
I thought you just had to use iframe. You didn't have to use the bridge.
Oh wait, you made one, didn't you?
It's a trust.web.
Oh, actually, it does work. Okay, so, you can't drag it, but yeah, which this is populating on the canvas inside of an iframe like this, right?
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like using the bridge, but it doesn't talk to another app. It uses the canvas in the
Right.
It's script source, I guess, and it kind of like puts that in the iframe on the page, in the iframe, which is the widget, I guess.
Right.
I actually don't know how this works. I just copied an example. It's the Canvas example. So I was just messing with Canvas. Like it all worked pretty easily to add the data to get that in there.
Well, it's because you're also like, you're creating the canvas element rather than accessing the, because it's happening inside of an iframe, so you have to create the canvas element.
Okay.
But I don't know, that's actually kind of really cool. I think what would be cool, a really interesting thing that I was kind of like alluding to in this last one, is that we could have a gateway bridge into another gateway, and then you could have like, and then each gateway could have its own keys. You log in with your wallet to like a specific widget now. But
is that like Horizon, where you kind of like register, like there's near.org terms and conditions, which is at the gateway level, and then there's Horizon terms and conditions, which are at the component level.
Oh, interesting. No, I was talking, if I have it. I was messing with this one thing where it is like an iframe, and because you can do near social, dude, Eugene just has all this stuff that like I feel like nobody talks about, but it's kind of mind blowing. So you can I don't know why it's not working right now, but he has this special embed route where you can actually like embed it in other iframes. So you could have a gateway. I don't know why it's not working now, but you could have a gateway that embeds another gateway. And so that gateway has its own VM, and it could render a certain subset of widgets too, which kind of like blurs the lines of what is this. It's a whole new internet. It's crazy.
Is there a gateway type?
Not yet.
How does that relate to app type?
Well, I think if you look at a gateway, we have this like, we have a JSON of all the widgets that get used for the specific pieces. So like I set up so that this is actually a if you render a mobile, this is a widget that renders, and this logout button is happening inside of a widget as well. So the gateway really just has to describe what are the components that get used as the default when we're rendering something like the mobile navigation that grabs this default. So a app type could hold dependencies and these widgets, and then it could render almost like a iframe that is another gateway that passes the thing that follows of type app into it. So then you just get a whole nother gateway that looks the same, but the way that you specifically wanted it to. And then it could have its own VM components in it too, because we can just describe custom elements here. And then it gets kind of crazy because then you could like, I don't know, you could like bundle them and store them on IPFS or something, and fully decentralized applications that are not even running on any server. You're just bundled code. That's the future.
Interplanetary meets multidimensional.
Right.
Well, that was amazing. Thank you so much, Elliot.
Of course. No, thanks for having me. That was fun.
Clap, 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 clap.